Isaiah Carter thought he had built the perfect life, a loving marriage, two beautiful children, a home filled with warmth and laughter. But one accidental glance at his wife's phone shattered everything he believed in, revealing a betrayal so deep it would strip away his home, his stability, and nearly his will to keep going. What this broken man didn't know was that losing everything would teach him the most powerful lesson of his life, that real strength isn't found in perfection, but in showing up broken and loving anyway. As his son's anger threatened to consume them both, and a lonely neighbor watched him rebuild piece by piece, Isaiah discovered that sometimes the family you create from ruins is stronger than the one you thought you'd lost. If you're watching this, subscribe and tell me where you're from, because this story will prove that the quietest acts of love, the daily wins, the honest conversations, the courage to heal out loud, are the ones that change everything. The alarm clock screamed at 5:30 in the morning. Isaiah Carter's hand shot out from under the covers and slapped it silent. For a moment, he lay still in the darkness, feeling the weight of another day pressing down on his chest. Then, he heard it. The small shuffle of feet in the hallway. Ava's voice, soft and sleepy. "Daddy." Isaiah pushed himself up and swung his legs over the side of the bed. His back ached from yesterday's deliveries. His eyes burned from too little sleep, but none of that mattered when his 6-year-old daughter needed him. "I'm coming, baby girl." He found her standing outside her bedroom door, clutching the stuffed rabbit she'd had since she was 2. Her hair stood up in wild directions, and her pajamas were twisted from sleep. "I had a bad dream," she whispered. Isaiah knelt down and pulled her into a hug. She smelled like the lavender lotion Renee always put on her before bed. His wife. The thought of her sent a small, uncomfortable twist through his stomach, but he pushed it away. "You're safe now," he told Ava. "Want to help me make breakfast?" Her face brightened immediately. "Can we make the smiley pancakes?" "We can make whatever you want." In the kitchen, Isaiah measured flour while Ava stood on a step stool, carefully cracking eggs into a bowl. The routine was familiar, comfortable. This was his favorite time of day before the chaos started, when it was just him and his kids and the quiet morning light filtering through the windows. "Is Mommy awake?" Ava asked, peering at the eggshells to make sure none had fallen in. "Not yet, sweetheart. She had a late night." That was becoming more common. Renee coming home after the kids were asleep, leaving early before they woke up. When Isaiah tried to talk to her about it, she'd say she was busy with work, stressed, needed space. He wanted to believe her, needed to believe her, but something felt wrong. Had felt wrong for months now. Malik appeared in the doorway, already dressed in his school clothes. At 10 years old, Isaiah's son was becoming more independent every day. More observant, too. Those dark eyes that looked so much like Isaiah's own seemed to see everything. "Morning, Dad." "Morning, Mal. You sleep okay?" Malik shrugged and grabbed the orange juice from the fridge. "Yeah, I guess." The way he said it told Isaiah that his son hadn't slept well at all. Malik had been having nightmares lately, waking up scared but refusing to talk about what frightened him. Isaiah worried. But every time he tried to dig deeper, Malik shut down. They ate breakfast together at the small kitchen table. Smiley face pancakes for Ava, plain ones for Malik, and coffee for Isaiah. The conversation was light. Ava chattering about her upcoming field trip to the zoo, Malik quiet but present. Renee never came downstairs. Isaiah dropped the kids at school, hugged them both tight, and watched them walk through the entrance. Ava turned back to wave. Malik didn't. Then Isaiah drove to the distribution center where he worked as a delivery driver. The pay wasn't great, but it was steady. And right now, with 2 kids and a mortgage, steady was what mattered. His phone buzzed as he pulled into the parking lot. A text from Renee. "Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. Isaiah stared at the message for a long moment. Working late. Again. The third time this week. He typed back, "Okay, love you." She didn't respond. The day dragged. Package after package, house after house. Isaiah's mind wandered as he drove, thinking about Renee, about the distance growing between them, about the way she flinched when he tried to hold her hand, about the secrets living in her eyes. He told himself he was imagining things, that marriage went through rough patches, that they'd be okay. But deep down, in a place he didn't want to acknowledge, Isaiah knew something was breaking. That evening, after picking up the kids and making dinner, Isaiah helped Ava with her homework while Malik played video games in the living room. The house felt too quiet, too empty, even with all of them in it. At 8 o'clock, Isaiah tucked Ava into bed. "Where's Mommy?" she asked, her eyes already heavy with sleep. "She's working, baby. She'll be home later." "She's always working now." The sadness in Ava's voice cut right through him. "I know, sweetheart, but she loves you very much. You know that, right?" "I guess." Isaiah kissed her forehead and turned on her nightlight. Then he checked on Malik, who was already in bed, staring at the ceiling. "You good, Mal?" "Yeah." "You sure? You seem kind of down lately." Malik didn't look at him. "I'm fine, Dad. Just tired." Isaiah wanted to push, wanted to sit on the edge of the bed and talk until his son opened up. But he could see the walls Malik had built, and he didn't know how to get through them. "All right. Sleep well. I love you. Love you too." Downstairs, Isaiah cleaned the kitchen and tried to watch TV. But he couldn't focus. His eyes kept drifting to the clock. 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10. Where was Renee? At 10:15, he heard her car in the driveway. The front door opened quietly and she slipped inside, not turning on the lights. Isaiah stood in the kitchen doorway. "Hey." Renee jumped, pressing a hand to her chest. "God, Isaiah, you scared me. Sorry, I was just waiting up. I told you not to. I know, but—" He stopped himself, took a breath. "Can we talk? I'm exhausted. Can it wait?" "Renee, we never talk anymore. You're always gone, and when you're here, you're somewhere else in your head." She set her purse down on the counter with more force than necessary. "What do you want me to say? That work is stressful? That I'm tired? Because I am, Isaiah. I'm so tired." "Of what? Work or us?" The question hung in the air between them. Renee's face shifted, something like guilt flashing across her features before she looked away. "That's not fair," she said quietly. "Then help me understand. Because I feel like I'm losing you and I don't know why." "Maybe there's nothing to understand. Maybe we're just—" She trailed off, shaking her head. "I can't do this right now." She walked past him toward the stairs. Isaiah reached for her arm gently. "Renee, please, just talk to me." She pulled away. "Not tonight." And then she was gone, disappearing up the stairs, leaving Isaiah alone in the dark kitchen with a sinking feeling in his chest. He told himself it would be okay, that tomorrow they'd talk, that whatever was wrong, they could fix it. But the fear gnawing at him whispered something different. The next evening, Isaiah came home to find Renee's phone on the kitchen counter. She was upstairs showering. The screen lit up with a text notification. Isaiah wasn't the kind of man who snooped. He trusted his wife, respected her privacy. But his hand reached for the phone anyway. The message was from someone named David. "Missing you. When can I see you again?" Isaiah's world tilted. His heart hammered so hard he could hear it in his ears. He scrolled up. More messages, weeks of them, flirtatious, intimate, planning meetings, hiding things. The bathroom door opened upstairs. Isaiah set the phone down with shaking hands. Renee appeared in the kitchen doorway, hair wet, wearing her robe. She saw her phone, saw Isaiah's face. "You looked," she said. Not a question, a statement. "Who's David?" Renee closed her eyes. Isaiah? Who is he, Renee? Someone from work. Are you sleeping with him? The silence was answer enough. Isaiah felt like the floor had opened beneath him, like he was falling through space with nothing to grab onto. How long? His voice sounded strange, distant. Does it matter? Yes, it matters. 3 months, maybe 4. I don't know. The words hit him like physical blows. 3 months, 4 months. While he'd been making breakfast and helping with homework and trying to be a good husband, she'd been with someone else. Why? He managed. Renee's eyes filled with tears. I don't know. I felt so stuck, so invisible, like all I was to you was a wife and a mother and nothing else. That's not true, isn't it? When's the last time you asked me about my dreams, about what I wanted? I ask you all the time. No, you ask if I'm okay, if I need anything. But you don't see me, Isaiah. You see the role I play. Isaiah shook his head, unable to process the accusation alongside the betrayal. So you had an affair? That's your solution? I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I felt alone. You were never alone. I was right here. But you weren't. Not really. You were with the kids, focused on them, building this perfect little family, and I was just there, existing, playing my part. So leave then, Isaiah said, the words ripping out of him before he could stop them. If we're that terrible, if I'm that terrible, then leave. Renee stared at him. Then quietly she said, Maybe I will. The statement hung between them like a death sentence. Isaiah felt tears burn his eyes, but he refused to let them fall. The kids will be fine. Kids are resilient. Don't do that. Don't minimize what this will do to them. Renee grabbed her phone and turned toward the stairs. I can't do this tonight. I need to think. About what? About whether you're going to destroy our family. She paused on the bottom step, looked back at him with something that might have been sadness or might have been relief. I think it's already destroyed, Isaiah. We're just finally admitting it. Then she was gone again, leaving Isaiah alone with the wreckage of everything he thought he knew. He stood in the kitchen for a long time, trying to breathe, trying to understand, trying to figure out how he'd gotten here. Eventually, he sank into a chair at the kitchen table and put his head in his hands. Upstairs, he heard Renee moving around, heard drawers opening and closing, heard the zipper of a suitcase. She was leaving. Tonight. Isaiah thought about stopping her, about begging her to stay, about fighting for their marriage. But the truth was, he didn't know what they were fighting for anymore. The front door opened around midnight. Renee came downstairs with a bag. She didn't look at him. I'll be at my sister's. We can talk about arrangements tomorrow. What do I tell the kids? Tell them I needed some space, that I love them. Do you? Renee's jaw tightened. That's not fair. None of this is fair. She walked to the door, then hesitated. I'm sorry, Isaiah. I really am. But I can't keep pretending. Pretending what? That this is enough. That I'm happy. And then she was gone. Isaiah sat in the dark kitchen until dawn, staring at nothing, feeling the weight of his new reality settling over him like a suffocating blanket. When Ava and Malik woke up and came downstairs, they found him still sitting there. Dad? Malik's voice was cautious. Where's Mom? Isaiah looked at his children, his beautiful, innocent children who were about to have their world shattered, and felt something break inside him. But he couldn't break. Not now. Not when they needed him. She had to go help Aunt Claire with something. He lied, his voice surprisingly steady. She'll be back soon. Ava climbed into his lap. Promise? Isaiah held her tight and closed his eyes. Yeah, baby, I promise. The lie tasted bitter on his tongue, but the truth would taste worse. The next week passed in a blur of painful conversations and impossible decisions. Renee wanted the house Isaiah had worked 2 jobs to afford, the house where his children had grown up. She had a lawyer, had already filed separation papers. Isaiah couldn't afford to fight her, couldn't afford a lawyer of his own, so he agreed to terms that felt like giving away pieces of his soul. The kids would live with him primarily. Renee would have weekends when it was convenient for her. Isaiah would move out of the family home into something smaller, cheaper, something that didn't hold memories of a life that no longer existed. He found a duplex on the east side of town. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a small kitchen, and a living room that could barely fit a couch. The rent was affordable. The neighborhood was decent. The landlord didn't ask too many questions. It was nothing like the home they were leaving, but it would have to be enough. On moving day, Isaiah packed his children's belongings into boxes while they were at school. Malik's books and basketball, Ava's dolls and art supplies, their clothes, their toys, their small pieces of childhood. Renee didn't help, didn't even come by. Mrs. Chen from next door, an elderly woman who'd babysat the kids a few times, stood on her porch watching with sad eyes. "I'm sorry this happened to you," she said as Isaiah carried boxes to his truck. "Thank you. Those are good kids. They're lucky to have you." Isaiah nodded, not trusting himself to speak. By the time he picked up Malik and Ava from school, the truck was loaded. He drove them to the new duplex, their new home, and tried to sound positive. "It's going to be an adventure," he said, unlocking the front door. "Our own place, just the 3 of us." Ava looked around the small, empty space, and her lip trembled. "Where's all our stuff?" "In boxes, baby. We're going to unpack together." Malik stood in the middle of the living room, his face carefully blank. "This is it?" "For now, but we'll make it nice. We'll make it ours." His son didn't respond. That night, Isaiah set up Ava's room first. He hung up her clothes, arranged her dolls on the small shelf, made her bed with the pink comforter she loved. When she saw it, she smiled for the first time all day. "It looks like my old room," she said softly. "That's the idea." Malik's room took longer. His son barely spoke while Isaiah unpacked, just sat on the edge of the bare mattress, staring at the wall. "Mal, you can decorate however you want. Posters, whatever. Make it yours." "Okay. You good?" "I said I'm fine, Dad." But he wasn't fine. Isaiah could see it in the way his son's shoulders hunched, in the way he wouldn't meet his father's eyes. That night, after the kids were supposedly asleep, Isaiah heard crying from Ava's room. He found her curled up under her blanket, tears streaming down her face. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "I want to go home. This is home now." "No, it's not. It doesn't feel like home. And Mommy's not here." Isaiah's chest ached. He climbed into the small bed beside her and held her while she cried. "I know it's different," he whispered. "I know it's scary, but we're together, you, me, and Malik. That's what matters. Do you promise we'll be okay?" Isaiah thought about all the things he couldn't promise, that Renee would come back, that their family would be whole again, that life would ever feel normal, but he could promise this. "I'll never leave you. No matter what happens, I'm here. Always." Ava buried her face in his chest. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, baby girl, so much." He stayed with her until she fell asleep. Then he checked on Malik, who pretended to be asleep but was clearly awake, staring at the ceiling in the dark. Isaiah sat on the edge of his son's bed. "I know this is hard. I know you're angry, but we're going to get through this together." Malik didn't respond. "You can talk to me about anything. You know that, right?" Still nothing. Isaiah sighed and stood up. "Good night, Mal. I love you." "Love you too," Malik whispered. It was something. Small, but something. In his own bedroom, the smallest of the 3, barely big enough for a bed and dresser, Isaiah lay awake staring at the unfamiliar ceiling. Everything had fallen apart so fast. One moment he'd had a family, a home, a life he understood. The next, he was a single father in a duplex, trying to hold together pieces that no longer fit. He thought about Renee, about David, about all the ways their marriage had broken without him even noticing. And he wondered if he'd been blind or if she'd just been that good at hiding. Either way, it didn't matter now. All that mattered was Malik and Ava, getting them through this, making sure they knew they were loved and safe and wanted. Even if Isaiah himself felt lost and broken and utterly alone, tomorrow he'd start building something new. Tomorrow he'd be strong. But tonight, in the darkness of his empty bedroom, Isaiah let himself fall apart. Just a little. Just enough to breathe. The first morning in the duplex started too early. Isaiah woke to the sound of Ava crying in the next room. He stumbled out of bed, still half asleep, and found her sitting on the floor of her bedroom, surrounded by scattered dolls. "What's wrong, baby?" "I can't find Mr. Whiskers." Her voice was thick with tears. "He's not here." Mr. Whiskers was the stuffed cat she'd slept with every night since she was 3. Isaiah's heart sank as he realized it must still be at the old house. "We'll get him, okay? I promise. Today after school, we'll go back and get him." "But what about now? I need him now." Isaiah sat down on the floor beside her and pulled her into his lap. "How about this? You can sleep with one of your other stuffed animals just for today, and then tonight you'll have Mr. Whiskers back." Ava sniffled against his chest. "It's not the same." "I know, but it's just for today." She finally agreed, choosing her stuffed rabbit instead. But the morning had started with tears, and Isaiah felt like that set the tone for everything. Getting the kids ready for school felt harder in the new place. Everything was in the wrong spot. Malik couldn't find his homework. Ava didn't like the towels in the bathroom. The water pressure was weak. The kitchen was too small. By the time Isaiah dropped them at school, he was already exhausted. Work was a blur of deliveries and traffic and customers who didn't care that his life was falling apart. He pushed through it mechanically, his mind somewhere else. During his lunch break, he called Renee. "I need to get Mr. Whiskers from the house." "What?" She sounded distracted. "Ava's stuffed cat. We forgot it. She's upset." "Oh, yeah, okay. I'll leave it on the porch." "Thanks." He paused. "How are you?" "Fine. Look, I have to go. The kids miss you. I'll see them this weekend, like we agreed." "Renee, I really have to go, Isaiah." The line went dead. Isaiah sat in his delivery truck, staring at his phone, feeling the familiar ache of rejection. She'd moved on so easily. Like their 14 years together meant nothing, like their children meant nothing. Or maybe she just compartmentalized better than he did. That afternoon, Isaiah picked up the kids and drove to the old house. Mr. Whiskers was waiting on the porch in a plastic bag. Isaiah grabbed it quickly, not wanting to linger, not wanting to look at the home that used to be his. But Ava insisted on getting out of the car. "I want to see my room." "We can't, baby. Mom's not here." "But my other toys are in there, and my books." "We got the important ones. The rest we'll get later." Ava's face crumpled. "I want to go inside." Malik, who'd been silent in the back seat, suddenly spoke up. "Dad said no, Ava. Let it go." His tone was sharp, harsh. Isaiah glanced at him in the rearview mirror and saw anger burning in his son's eyes. "Mal, can we just leave? I don't want to be here." Isaiah pulled away from the curb, his chest tight. The silence in the car was heavy, suffocating. Back at the duplex, Ava clutched Mr. Whiskers and seemed a little better, but Malik went straight to his room and slammed the door. Isaiah made dinner, spaghetti, the easiest thing he could manage, and called the kids to the table. Ava came right away. Malik took 10 minutes and only appeared after Isaiah knocked on his door twice. They ate in silence. Ava pushed her food around her plate. Malik stared at his phone. How was school? Isaiah asked. Fine, Malik muttered. Just fine? Yeah, Dad, fine. Mal, I need you to put the phone away at dinner. Why? It's not like we're having a real conversation. The words stung. Isaiah took a breath, trying to stay calm. I'm trying to talk to you. You're trying to pretend everything's normal. It's not normal. I know it's not normal, but we're still a family. Malik looked up, his eyes filled with something that looked like betrayal. Are we? Because it doesn't feel like it. Malik! His son stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. I'm not hungry. Sit down. We're not done. I am. Malik walked away. Isaiah started to follow, but Ava grabbed his hand. Don't leave, Daddy. Please don't leave. The fear in her voice stopped him. He sat back down and pulled her close. I'm not leaving, baby. I'm right here. But inside, he felt like he was failing. Failing Malik. Failing Ava. Failing at this whole single father thing. Later that night, after Ava was asleep, Isaiah knocked on Malik's door. Go away. Mal, we need to talk. I don't want to talk. Isaiah opened the door anyway. Malik was lying on his bed, staring at the ceiling with his headphones on. Isaiah pulled them off gently. Hey, I know you're angry. I'm not angry. Yes, you are, and that's okay. You're allowed to be angry. Malik's jaw tightened. You don't get it. Then help me understand. She left us, Dad. Mom left us, and you're acting like everything's fine, like we're just supposed to move on and pretend we're happy in this dump. The words hit hard. This isn't a dump. It's our home. It's not our home. Our home is where we used to live. But she got to keep it, and we got kicked out. That's not exactly what happened. Yes, it is. Malik sat up, his voice rising. She cheated on you. She left. And somehow she still gets the house and gets to do whatever she wants while we're stuck here. Isaiah didn't know what to say, because Malik was right. The unfairness of it all was crushing. Life isn't fair sometimes, he said finally, but we have each other. That counts for something. Does it? Because it doesn't feel like enough. The statement hung in the air between them. Isaiah felt his throat tighten. I'm doing my best, Mal. I know. Malik's voice broke. But what if your best isn't good enough? The question shattered something in Isaiah. He reached for his son, but Malik pulled away. I just want to be alone. Okay. Isaiah stood up slowly. But Mal, I love you. No matter how angry you are or how hard this gets, I love you. And I'm not going anywhere. Malik didn't respond, just put his headphones back on and turned toward the wall. Isaiah left the room feeling like he'd lost a battle he didn't know how to fight. That night, lying in bed, Isaiah stared at the ceiling and tried not to fall apart. He'd always thought of himself as strong, capable, the kind of man who could handle whatever life threw at him. But this was breaking him. The next morning, Isaiah woke up and made a decision. If he couldn't fix everything, he could at least try to make small things better. He found a notebook in one of the unpacked boxes and tore out 3 pieces of paper. On the first, he wrote, Malik's win for today. On the second, Ava's win for today. On the third, Dad's win for today. When the kids woke up, he showed them the papers. What's this? Ava asked, rubbing her eyes. Every day, we're each going to write down one good thing that happened. One win. It doesn't have to be big. Just something that made us smile or feel proud or grateful. Malik crossed his arms. That's dumb. Maybe, but we're trying it anyway. Why? Because I think we all need to remember that even when things are hard, there's still good stuff happening. We just have to look for it. Ava seemed intrigued. Can mine be about Mr. Whiskers? Sure. Write whatever you want. That evening, after dinner, Isaiah put the papers on the refrigerator with magnets. He wrote his first. Got the kids to school on time. Small, but it counted. Ava wrote hers in careful, crooked letters. Found Mr. Whiskers. Malik left his blank. Isaiah didn't push, just let it be. But the next evening, when Isaiah checked the fridge, Malik had written something in tiny letters. Made a basket in gym class. It was small, almost nothing. But Isaiah's chest swelled with pride anyway. They were trying. All of them. In their own ways. A few days later, Isaiah met the neighbor from the other half of the duplex. He was outside trying to fix a porch light that wouldn't turn on when a woman appeared on the shared walkway. Need help with that? Isaiah looked up. She was probably early 30s, well-dressed in business casual clothes, carrying a messenger bag. She looked put together in a way that made Isaiah suddenly aware of his worn work jeans and old t-shirt. I've got it. Thanks. Suit yourself. But that fixture is wired wrong. You'll need to flip the breaker first. Isaiah blinked. How do you know that? I grew up with a contractor for a father. You learn things. She extended her hand. Lauren Hale. I just moved in next door. Isaiah Carter. He shook her hand, noting her firm grip. This is my side. I know. I heard you moving in last week. You and your kids, right? Yeah, 2 kids. Must be nice, having family. Something in the way she said it made Isaiah pause. There was loneliness underneath the polite words. Sadness, maybe. You don't have family? He asked, then immediately felt intrusive. Sorry, that's none of my business. It's fine. I have family. They're just far away, emotionally and geographically. Lauren smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Anyway, welcome to the neighborhood. If you need anything, I'm usually around in the evenings. Thanks. Same to you. She disappeared into her side of the duplex, and Isaiah stood there for a moment, thinking about that sadness in her voice, about how everyone seemed to be carrying something heavy. Later, while the kids did homework at the kitchen table, Isaiah found himself thinking about Lauren, about her comment about family, about the loneliness that seemed to radiate from her despite her confident exterior. He wondered what her story was, then told himself it didn't matter. He had enough to deal with without taking on anyone else's problems. That weekend, Renee was supposed to take the kids for her first visitation. Isaiah spent all morning preparing them, making sure they had their overnight bags packed, reminding them to brush their teeth, trying to sound positive about spending time with their mother. But at noon, when Renee was supposed to arrive, his phone rang instead. I can't make it today. Isaiah's stomach dropped. What? Renee, the kids are waiting for you. Something came up, work thing. I'll get them next weekend. You can't do this to them. I'm not doing anything to them. I'm explaining that I have a conflict. They're your children. And they'll understand. They're resilient. There was that word again, resilient, like it was a free pass to hurt them. Renee, I have to go. Tell them I love them. She hung up. Isaiah stood in the kitchen, phone in hand, trying to figure out how to break this news to his kids. How to explain that their mother was choosing something else over them. He found them in the living room, bags packed, sitting on the couch waiting. Is Mommy here? Ava asked, her face bright with hope. Isaiah's heart shattered. She's not coming today, baby. Something came up with work. Ava's face fell. But she promised. I know, I'm sorry. Malik stood up abruptly. Whatever. I didn't want to go anyway. I'm serious, I don't care. But Isaiah could see the hurt in his son's eyes, could see the way his hands clenched into fists. How about we do something fun instead? Isaiah suggested. Just the 3 of us. We could go to the park, get ice cream. I don't want ice cream, Malik said. I want to be alone. He disappeared into his room. Ava burst into tears. Isaiah spent the rest of the afternoon trying to make it better. Took Ava to the park, pushed her on the swings, bought her ice cream even though she barely ate it, but nothing could fix the fact that their mother had abandoned them. Again. That evening, Isaiah wrote on his windsheet, made Ava smile at the park. It felt hollow, but he wrote it anyway. Ava wrote, "Got strawberry ice cream." Malik's was blank again. That night, Isaiah lay awake thinking about resilience, about how much children were expected to endure, about how unfair it was that they had to learn these lessons so young. He thought about Malik's question, what if your best isn't good enough? And he didn't have an answer. A few evenings later, Lauren knocked on Isaiah's door carrying a toolbox. "Heard your sink's been leaking. Thought I'd take a look." Isaiah blinked, surprised. "How did you—" "Thin walls. I heard you on the phone with the landlord yesterday." She smiled. "Let me guess. He said he'd get to it next week? Next month, actually." "Figures. Can I come in?" Isaiah stepped aside. Lauren walked into the kitchen like she owned the place, set down her toolbox, and crouched under the sink. "You really don't have to—" "I know, but I'm bored, and this is an easy fix." She glanced up at him. "Unless you'd rather wait a month for the landlord?" "No, this is great, thank you." While she worked, Ava wandered into the kitchen. "Who's that?" "This is Miss Lauren. She's our neighbor. She's fixing the sink." Ava's eyes went wide. "You're a fixer?" Lauren laughed. "Sometimes, when things are broken." "Our family's broken," Ava said matter-of-factly. "Can you fix that?" The silence that followed was painful. Isaiah opened his mouth to say something, but Lauren beat him to it. "Some things can't be fixed, sweetheart. But that doesn't mean they're not still valuable. Sometimes broken things just become different things. And different can be okay, too." Ava thought about this seriously. "Like when my doll's arm broke off and Daddy glued it back on? It works different now, but it's still my doll." "Exactly like that." Satisfied, Ava wandered back to the living room. Isaiah looked at Lauren with something like wonder. "That was really good." Lauren shrugged. "I work in communications. I'm good with words." She finished tightening something under the sink and stood up. "There. Good as new." "Thank you. Seriously. Can I pay you or—" "Don't be ridiculous. We're neighbors. This is what neighbors do." But as she packed up her tools, Isaiah noticed her hands were shaking slightly, and when she thought he wasn't looking, her smile faded into something sad. "Lauren, you okay?" She looked up, startled. "Yeah, fine. Why? You just seem, I don't know, like you might need someone to ask if you're okay." Her eyes glistened, just for a second, then she blinked it away. "I'm good, just tired. Long week." She picked up her toolbox. "I should go." "Lauren, good night, Isaiah." She left quickly, almost running to her side of the duplex. Isaiah stood in his kitchen, wondering what pain she was carrying, what brokenness she was trying to fix on her own. And he realized that maybe loneliness wasn't just his burden. Maybe everyone around him was struggling with their own version of it. Maybe that was just what life looked like sometimes. That night, he added to his windsheet, "Sinks fixed." Kindness from a neighbor. It wasn't much, but it was something. And right now, something was all he had. The days started blending together. Wake up, get the kids ready, drop them at school, work, pick them up, make dinner, help with homework, bedtime. Repeat. Isaiah felt like he was moving through water. Everything took more effort than it should. Everything felt heavier. 2 weeks into their new life, the school called. "Mr. Carter, this is Principal Morrison. I need to talk to you about Malik." Isaiah's stomach dropped. "What happened?" "He got into a fight during recess, pushed another student. We've had to give him detention." "A fight? Malik doesn't fight." "Well, he did today. Can you come in tomorrow morning?" I think we need to discuss what's going on at home. What's going on at home? Like Isaiah didn't already know. Like the divorce wasn't obvious enough. I'll be there. That evening, when Isaiah picked up the kids, Malik was silent, more silent than usual. He climbed into the car and stared out the window, his jaw tight. Isaiah waited until they got home, and Ava was occupied with her dolls before he pulled Malik aside. Want to tell me what happened today? Not really. School called me, said you pushed someone. Malik's hands clenched. He deserved it. What did he say? Nothing. Malik, he asked where my mom was. The words exploded out of Malik. He said his mom told him my mom left because she didn't want us anymore. So I pushed him, and I'd do it again. Isaiah felt his chest constrict. Oh, Mal, it's not true, right? She didn't leave because of us? Isaiah wanted to lie, wanted to protect his son from the ugly truth, but he remembered what the school counselor had said after Ava's breakdown last week. Kids need honesty, age-appropriate, but honest. Your mom left because she was unhappy, Isaiah said carefully, but not because of you or Ava. It was about her and me, about our marriage. You two are the best things that ever happened to either of us. Then why doesn't she visit? Why doesn't she call? I don't know, buddy. I wish I had a better answer. Malik's eyes filled with tears. I hate her. No. You don't. Yes, I do. I hate her for leaving, and I hate her for not caring, and I hate that everyone at school knows. Isaiah pulled his son into a hug. Malik resisted at first, then collapsed against his father's chest, crying in a way Isaiah hadn't seen since he was little. It's okay to be angry, Isaiah whispered. It's okay to hurt. But Mal, you can't push people. You can't let this make you someone you're not. What if I'm already becoming someone different? Someone mean? You're not mean. You're hurting. There's a difference. They stood like that for a long time. Father and son, both broken in different ways, trying to hold each other together. That night, Isaiah called the school and scheduled a meeting with Malik's teacher and the counselor. They needed help. Professional help. He couldn't do this alone anymore. The next morning, Isaiah sat in the school counselor's office, feeling like he was being judged. Ms. Rivera was kind but direct. Malik is struggling. That's understandable given the circumstances, but we're seeing some concerning behaviors. The aggression, the withdrawal, the drop in his grades. I'm doing everything I can, Isaiah said, hearing the defensiveness in his own voice. I know you are, and you're doing a great job keeping things stable. But Malik needs more support than you can give alone. I'd recommend family counseling. There are sliding scale options if cost is an issue. Cost was always an issue, but Isaiah nodded anyway. Okay, yeah, I'll look into it. Good. And Mr. Carter, don't be afraid to ask for help. Trying to do everything yourself isn't strength. Sometimes it's just stubbornness. The words stung because they were true. When Isaiah got home that evening, he found Lauren sitting on the shared porch staring at her phone with a troubled expression. Everything okay? He asked. She looked up, startled. Oh, yeah. Just work stuff. Isaiah hesitated, then sat down beside her. You don't have to pretend with me. I know what just fine looks like, and that's not it. Lauren laughed bitterly. That obvious? Takes one to know one. She was quiet for a moment. Then, I got passed over for a promotion today, 3rd time in 2 years. They gave it to someone less qualified but more connected. I'm sorry. The worst part is, I don't even care that much about the job. I just wanted to feel like I mattered, like all the hours and sacrifices meant something. She looked at him. Does that make sense? More than you know. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Lauren asked, How are you holding up? Really? No one had asked him that. Not since Renee left. Everyone asked about the kids, about logistics, about practical things, but no one asked about Isaiah. Honestly, I feel like I'm drowning, like every day is just trying to keep my head above water long enough to make sure the kids are okay. And are they? Okay? No. Malik's angry and acting out. Ava cries herself to sleep, and I have no idea how to fix any of it. Maybe you can't fix it. Maybe you just have to be there while they heal. That feels like not enough. Isaiah, Lauren's voice was gentle. You're keeping them fed and safe and loved. In a world that just turned upside down for them, that's everything. He wanted to believe her, wanted to think that showing up was enough. But Malik's question kept echoing. What if your best isn't good enough? A few days later, Isaiah noticed something on the refrigerator. Malik had finally written on his win sheet, but the words made Isaiah's heart sink. Win for today. Nothing. There's nothing good about any of this. Isaiah stood staring at those words, feeling helpless. How did you help your child find hope when you were barely holding on to it yourself? That evening, after the kids were in bed, Isaiah knocked on Lauren's door. She answered in sweatpants and a t-shirt, her hair pulled back, looking more relaxed than he'd ever seen her. Hey, everything okay? Can I ask you something? About being alone? Lauren's expression shifted. Come in. Her side of the duplex was furnished beautifully. Modern furniture, artwork on the walls, everything coordinated. It looked like a magazine spread, perfect and empty. Your place is nice, Isaiah said. It's just stuff, expensive stuff, but still just stuff. She gestured to the couch. Sit. What's going on? Isaiah sank into the cushions and rubbed his face. Malik wrote on his win sheet today that there's nothing good. And I don't know how to help him see differently. I don't even know if I see differently myself. Lauren was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, Can I tell you something I've never told anyone? Yeah. I have everything most people want. Good job, money, nice apartment. But I come home every night to silence. I eat dinner alone. I watch TV alone. I wake up alone. And sometimes I think about what the point of all this success is if there's no one to share it with. Why are you telling me this? Because you're asking how to help your son find good things in his life. And I think the answer is, you can't make him see them. You can only keep pointing them out until he's ready to look. What if he's never ready? Then you keep pointing anyway. That's what love is, isn't it? Showing up even when it feels pointless. Isaiah looked at her, really looked. Saw the loneliness underneath her put-together exterior. Saw the same kind of brokenness he carried. You're pretty wise for someone who says they have it all figured out, he said. I don't have anything figured out. I'm just good at pretending. Yeah, me too. They sat together in comfortable silence, and for the first time since Renee left, Isaiah felt less alone. The next week, Malik had his first counseling appointment. Isaiah sat in the waiting room while his son talked to a therapist named Dr. Chen. 45 minutes that felt like hours. When Malik came out, his eyes were red, but something in his shoulders looked lighter. How was it? Isaiah asked carefully. Okay, I guess. Just okay? She gets it. She didn't try to make me feel better or tell me everything would be fine. She just listened. Isaiah felt a pang of guilt. I listened to you. I know, Dad. But it's different. You're trying so hard to fix everything that sometimes I can't just be sad around you. The words hit hard. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. It's okay. I just need someone who isn't trying to make me okay. Someone who's okay with me not being okay. Isaiah nodded, even though it hurt. Then I'm glad you have that now. That evening, Malik wrote on his win sheet, talk to someone who gets it. It was small, but it was honest, and that felt like progress. A few nights later, Lauren invited Isaiah and the kids over for dinner. She'd made spaghetti, nothing fancy, but the gesture meant everything. Ava loved her immediately, chattering about school and dolls and everything else. Malik was more reserved, but even he seemed to relax around Lauren's easy manner. After dinner, while the kids watched a movie in the living room, Isaiah helped Lauren clean up. "Thank you for this," he said. "It's nice to have adult conversation." "Thank you for coming. It's nice to have any conversation." "You really don't have anyone? Friends? Family?" Lauren dried a plate slowly. "I have people. But I've spent so long being independent and successful that I forgot how to need anyone. And now I'm 33 and realizing that all the things I thought mattered don't actually fill the emptiness." "What would fill it?" "I don't know. Connection, maybe. Real connection. Not networking or professional relationships. Just people who see me." Isaiah met her eyes. "I see you." The moment stretched between them, something unspoken but real. Then Ava called from the living room, breaking the spell. "Daddy, come watch with us." Isaiah smiled apologetically. "Duty calls. Go. I'll finish up here." But later, when Isaiah was getting the kids ready to leave, Lauren pulled him aside. "Can I be honest with you?" "Of course." "I've been watching you with your kids. The way you show up for them, the way you try so hard to make things okay. And I keep thinking about how I spent my whole life chasing success, when what I really wanted was someone to care about me the way you care about them." Isaiah didn't know what to say. "Lauren, I'm not saying this to make things weird. I wanted you to know that what you're doing matters. Even when it feels like it's not enough, it is." "How do you know?" "Because I grew up with parents who gave me everything except themselves. And I would trade all of this," she gestured around her perfect apartment, "for one memory of my dad sitting on the floor playing with me the way you do with Ava." Isaiah felt tears burn his eyes. "Thank you. I needed to hear that." "Good, because I needed to say it." When Isaiah got home that night, he added to his win sheet, "Someone saw me today. Really saw me." And for the first time in weeks, he went to bed feeling like maybe, just maybe, he was doing something right. The next morning, Isaiah woke to find Malik already up, writing on his win sheet. "Talked to Dad last night. He listened without trying to fix me." Isaiah stared at those words, his chest full. They were healing, slowly, painfully, messily, but healing nonetheless. And maybe that was enough. Maybe healing was all any of them could do. 1 week later, Renee finally showed up for her scheduled visitation. Isaiah opened the door to find her standing there looking uncomfortable. "Hey," she said. "Hey, the kids ready?" "Yeah, they've been waiting." He called up the stairs. "Ava, Malik, your mom's here." Ava came running down, her face bright with hope. Malik followed more slowly, his expression guarded. Renee knelt down and hugged Ava. "Hey, baby, I missed you." "I missed you too, Mommy. Are you staying now?" The hope in Ava's voice broke Isaiah's heart. "Not staying, sweetie, but I'm taking you for the weekend. We'll have so much fun." Malik stood back, not approaching. Renee looked at him. "Hey, Mal, you okay?" "Fine. You ready to go?" "I guess." The drive away was awkward. Isaiah stood on the porch watching them leave, feeling the familiar ache of separation. Lauren appeared beside him. "You okay?" "No, but I will be." "Want company while they're gone? We could watch a movie or something." Isaiah looked at her. At this woman who'd somehow become important to him, who'd shown him that loneliness could be shared and softened. "Yeah," he said. "I'd like that." They spent the evening talking, really talking, about marriages that failed and dreams that died and the slow work of rebuilding yourself when everything fell apart. And somewhere in those conversations, Isaiah realized something. He'd been so focused on what he'd lost that he'd missed what he was gaining. Not just stability for his kids, but connection, community, understanding. He was learning that healing wasn't about going back to who you were before. It was about becoming someone new, someone shaped by loss but not defined by it, someone who could still hope, still love, still try. And maybe that was the real win. Not perfection, not wholeness, just the courage to keep going, one day at a time. Sunday evening came too quickly. Isaiah stood on the porch waiting for Renee to bring the kids back, his stomach tight with anxiety. What if the weekend with their mother had been perfect? What if they came back angry that they had to leave her? What if... The car pulled up. Ava jumped out first, running straight to Isaiah. "Daddy!" He caught her in a hug, relief flooding through him. "Hey, baby girl. Did you have fun?" It was okay. Her voice was small, uncertain. Malik climbed out more slowly, dragging his overnight bag. He walked past Isaiah without a word and went straight inside. Renee stayed in the car, window rolled down. "They were good. I'll see them next weekend. Wait, do you want to come in? Talk for a minute? I have to get back. David's waiting." The name hit like a slap. Isaiah forced himself to stay calm. "Okay, drive safe." She pulled away without another word. Inside, Isaiah found Malik in his room, unpacking his bag with angry, jerky movements. "Mal, you okay?" "I'm fine." "You don't seem fine." "Well, I am. Can you just leave me alone?" Isaiah hesitated. Every instinct told him to push, to dig deeper, to fix whatever was wrong. But he remembered what Malik had said about needing space to not be okay. "All right. I'm here if you need to talk." He checked on Ava next. She was sitting on her bed, holding Mr. Whiskers, her expression troubled. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "Mommy has a new friend." Isaiah's stomach dropped. "What kind of friend?" "A man friend. His name is David. He was at her apartment all weekend, so Renee had introduced them to her affair partner." Isaiah felt rage burn through him, but he forced it down. Not in front of Ava. "How did that make you feel?" he asked gently. "Weird. He was nice, but I don't know. It felt wrong. Like he was trying to be our friend, but he's not." "Did Malik meet him too?" "Yeah. Malik didn't talk to him at all. Not even when David tried to play basketball with him." That explained Malik's mood. Isaiah's son was processing betrayal on top of abandonment, and he was 10 years old. It wasn't fair. None of this was fair. "I'm sorry the weekend was hard," Isaiah said, pulling Ava close. "But you're home now, and nothing's going to change that." "Promise?" "Promise." That night, Isaiah lay awake thinking about Renee and David, about how quickly she'd moved on, about how little she seemed to consider the impact on their children. He wanted to call her, to scream at her, to demand she protect their kids from her choices. But what good would it do? She'd made her decisions. All Isaiah could control was how he responded. The next morning, Isaiah found a note on the kitchen table. Malik's handwriting. "Dad, I don't want to go to Mom's next weekend. Please don't make me." Isaiah's heart broke. He texted Renee. "Malik doesn't want to visit next weekend. We need to talk about David." Her response came an hour later. "He'll get used to it." Kids are resilient. That word again. Isaiah wanted to throw his phone across the room. Instead, he called Dr. Chen, Malik's therapist, and scheduled an emergency session. That afternoon, while Malik was at his appointment, Isaiah sat in the waiting room next to an older man who was reading a newspaper. The man looked up and nodded. "Your first time here?" "No, my son's been coming for a few weeks." "Good man, getting him help young. I waited too long with mine. Thought I could handle it all myself." Isaiah felt seen. "Yeah, I tried that too. Didn't work." "Never does. But admitting you need help, that's the hardest part." The man extended his hand. "Douglas." My grandson sees Dr. Chen. Isaiah. They shook hands, and something about Douglas's calm presence made Isaiah relax slightly. Can I give you some advice? Douglas asked. Please. Stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to protect them from every hurt. Just be there, consistent, honest, present. That's all kids really need. What if that's not enough? It's always enough. We just convince ourselves it isn't because we want to do more. But showing up is everything. When Malik came out of his session, he looked tired but calmer. Dr. Chen spoke to Isaiah privately. He's struggling with the introduction of David, feels like a betrayal of you and a replacement of the family he lost. What do I do? Keep being steady. Don't badmouth their mother, but don't force him to accept a situation he's not ready for. Give him agency. Let him decide if and when he's ready to visit her again. That evening, Isaiah sat down with Malik. Doctor, Chen said you talked about this weekend. Malik nodded, not meeting his eyes. I want you to know something. You don't have to go to your mom's if you're not ready. I'll talk to her. We'll figure it out. Malik looked up, surprise in his eyes. Really? Really? You get to have feelings about this, and you get to have boundaries. What about Ava? She can decide for herself, too. But Mal, this doesn't mean you have to hate your mom or David. It just means you get to take your time figuring out how you feel. Malik's shoulders sagged with relief. Thanks, Dad. Of course. That's what I'm here for. That night, Malik's win sheet read, Dad listened. Dad gets it. Isaiah felt like maybe, finally, he was learning how to do this. A few days later, Lauren knocked on the door holding a casserole dish. Made too much? Thought you might want some? Isaiah smiled. You're always making too much. Yeah, well, cooking for one is depressing. This way I have an excuse. They'd fallen into a rhythm over the past few weeks. Shared dinners. Porch conversations after the kids were asleep. Small kindnesses that made both their lives feel less empty. While they ate, Lauren asked about the weekend with Renee. Isaiah found himself telling her everything. About David, about Malik's refusal to go back, about how hard it was to watch his kids process rejection. I keep wondering if I'm handling this right, he admitted. What if letting Malik refuse to visit makes things worse long-term? Or what if forcing him to go teaches him that his feelings don't matter? Lauren countered gently. You're respecting his boundaries. That's huge. I just don't want him to regret this later, to think I kept him from his mom. Isaiah, you're not keeping him from anything. You're giving him space to heal at his own pace. That's love. He looked at her across the table. At this woman who'd become so important to him without either of them planning it. Can I ask you something personal? He said. Of course. Why are you really here? Not just tonight, but all these dinners, all these conversations. You could be out with friends, dating, doing anything. Why spend your evenings with a broke single dad and his traumatized kids? Lauren was quiet for a long moment. Because I spent 30 years building a perfect life that made me miserable. And then I moved in next door to you and saw what real life looks like. Messy and hard and full of love. And I wanted to be part of something real for once. This is real, all right. Sometimes too real. I know, and I like that. I like that you don't pretend everything's fine. That you let me see the struggle. She reached across the table and took his hand. You make me feel less alone. You make me feel less alone, too. They sat like that, hands linked, until Ava appeared in the doorway asking for help with her homework. The moment broke, but something had shifted. Something neither of them was quite ready to name yet. 2 weeks later, Isaiah got a call from his supervisor at work. Carter, we need to talk about your attendance. Isaiah's stomach dropped. I've only missed 2 days this month. 2 days for sick kids. 3 days you left early for school meetings. You're a good worker, but we need reliability. I'm a single parent. Sometimes things come up. I get that. But we have a business to run. I'm putting you on notice. One more absence and we'll have to reconsider your position. Isaiah hung up feeling sick. He couldn't lose this job, couldn't afford to be unemployed, but he also couldn't abandon his kids when they needed him. That evening, he sat at the kitchen table with bills spread out in front of him. The math didn't work. Even with his current job, he was barely scraping by. If he lost it... Dad? Malik stood in the doorway. You okay? Isaiah quickly gathered the bills. Yeah, buddy. Just tired. You say that a lot? I am tired a lot. Malik sat down across from him. Is it because of us? Because we're too much work? What? No. Mal, you and Ava are never too much. You're everything. Then why do you always look so worried? Isaiah wanted to lie. To protect his son from adult problems. But he remembered Dr. Chen's advice about honesty. Money's tight, he admitted, and work's been stressful. But we're going to be okay. I'm figuring it out. I could get a job, like mowing lawns or something. The offer broke Isaiah's heart. You're 10. Your job is to be a kid. Let me worry about the money. But I want to help. You do help. Every time you write something on your win sheet, every time you're kind to your sister, every time you go to therapy and do the hard work, you're helping. You're making our family stronger. Malik absorbed this, then quietly. I'm sorry I've been so angry. You have nothing to be sorry for. Yes, I do. I know this is hard for you too, and I've been making it harder. Isaiah reached across the table and took his son's hand. Mal, you're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to hurt. That doesn't make things harder for me. It makes things real. And real is what we need. That night, Malik wrote on his win sheet, had a real talk with Dad. Didn't have to pretend. And Isaiah wrote, my son is braver than I ever was at his age. The following Saturday, Mr. Douglas knocked on Isaiah's door. Got a minute? Sure. Come in. Douglas settled into the armchair while Isaiah made coffee. The older man looked around the small duplex. You've made this place feel like a home. Trying to. Still doesn't feel quite right. Home isn't about the place. It's about what happens inside it. Douglas accepted the coffee gratefully. I came to talk to you about something. My grandson mentioned your boy Malik in his session. Isaiah tensed. Is everything okay? More than okay. Malik's been helping him during recess, noticed he was sitting alone and started including him. Your son's got a good heart. Tears pricked Isaiah's eyes. He does. Sometimes I forget that under all the anger, he's still that sweet kid. The anger's just protection. He'll come back to himself. Just takes time. Douglas sipped his coffee. I also wanted to tell you something I wish someone had told me when I was raising my daughter alone. What's that? You're doing better than you think. I see you with those kids. I hear you being patient when they're difficult. I watch you show up even when you're exhausted. That's not failing. That's heroism. Doesn't feel like heroism. It never does. Heroism feels like barely surviving. But to your kids, you're everything. After Douglas left, Isaiah sat on the porch thinking about those words, about how different his definition of success had become. It used to be about providing a stable home and a good marriage and security. Now it was just about getting through each day without breaking, about being present even when it hurt, about choosing love over anger, honesty over protection. Maybe that was enough. Maybe that was everything. That evening, Lauren found him on the porch. You look contemplative. Just thinking about how much has changed. For better or worse, Isaiah considered. Both. Definitely both. Lauren sat beside him. Can I tell you something I've been thinking about? Always. I've been offered a promotion, different city, more money, everything I thought I wanted. Isaiah's stomach dropped. Are you taking it? I don't know. A few months ago, I would have said yes immediately, but now, She looked at him. Now I have reasons to stay. Lauren, I'm not saying this to put pressure on you. I know you're still healing. I know this thing between us is complicated. I just wanted you to know that you matter to me. You and your kids. You've made me rethink everything I thought I wanted. Isaiah didn't know what to say, didn't know if he was ready for this, for vulnerability, for letting someone in when he was still so broken. But maybe that was the point. Maybe you didn't wait until you were whole to connect with people. Maybe connection was part of what made you whole. I'm scared, he admitted, of getting hurt again, of letting my kids get attached to someone who might leave. I'm scared too, of opening up after years of keeping people out, of wanting something I might not deserve. You deserve everything good, Lauren. So do you, Isaiah. When are you going to believe that? He didn't have an answer. That night, he wrote on his windsheet, "Someone wants to stay. For me. For us." It felt like a victory and a terrifying responsibility all at once. Several weeks passed. The rhythm of their lives settled into something steadier. Malik continued therapy and slowly started opening up more. Ava had fewer nightmares. Isaiah's job situation stabilized after he had an honest conversation with his supervisor about his limitations as a single parent. And Lauren stayed, not in any official capacity, but she was there. Shared dinners became routine. The kids started calling her Miss Lauren instead of the neighbor. She taught Ava how to braid hair. She helped Malik with his science project. She became part of their family without either of them deciding it formally. One evening, while the kids watched a movie, Isaiah and Lauren sat on the porch. The weather was getting warmer. Spring was coming. I turned down the promotion, Lauren said quietly. Isaiah looked at her. Why? Because I realized I've spent my whole life chasing things that didn't make me happy. And for the first time, I'm actually happy. Here, with you and the kids, with this messy, complicated, beautiful life. Lauren, you can't give up your career for... I'm not giving up anything. I'm choosing. There's a difference. She took his hand. I'm choosing connection over achievement. I'm choosing people over prestige. I'm choosing you. Isaiah felt tears burn his eyes. I don't know if I'm ready. I know, and that's okay. I'm not asking for anything except the chance to keep showing up, however that looks. What if I never get there? What if I'm too broken? Then we'll be broken together. And maybe that's enough. Isaiah pulled her close, held her while something in his chest finally loosened. The fear didn't disappear. The hurt didn't magically heal. But for the first time since Renee left, he felt like maybe he could build something new from the ruins. Not a replacement for what he'd lost, but something different, something real. The next morning, Isaiah's phone rang. Renee. I need to talk to you about custody. His guard went up immediately. What about it? David and I are getting serious. We're thinking about moving in together, and I want the kids to spend more time with us. Build a relationship with him. Renee, they're not ready for that, especially Malik. He needs to get ready. David's going to be in my life, which means he's going to be in theirs. That's not how this works. You don't get to force a relationship. I'm their mother. I have rights. And they have rights too. The right to process this at their own pace. The right to feel safe. Are you saying they're not safe with me? Isaiah took a breath, fought down the anger. I'm saying they need time, and pushing them isn't going to make things better. Fine, but I'm not waiting forever. They need to accept that I've moved on. She hung up. Isaiah stood in the kitchen, shaking with frustration. Then he heard small footsteps. Malik stood in the doorway. She wants us to accept him, doesn't she? You heard that? Yeah. Malik's face was carefully blank. Are you going to make us? Never. You decide what you're comfortable with. Both of you. Malik's shoulders sagged with relief. Thanks, Dad. That afternoon, there was a school event, a presentation where kids shared essays about their heroes. Isaiah almost didn't go, assuming neither of his kids would participate, but when he arrived, he saw Malik's name on the program. His son stood at the front of the gym, nervous but determined, and then he started reading. My Hero by Malik Carter. My hero is my dad, not because he's rich or famous, not because he has superpowers, but because he shows up every day even when things are hard. He makes us breakfast even when he's tired. He helps with homework even when he doesn't understand the math. He lets us be sad without trying to fix it. He's teaching me that being a man isn't about never hurting. It's about hurting and keeping going anyway. That's why he's my hero. Isaiah's vision blurred with tears. Parents around him clapped, but he barely heard them. All he could see was his son, brave and honest and whole in ways Isaiah had feared were lost. After the presentation, Malik found him in the hallway. Did I do okay? Isaiah pulled him into a hug, held him tight. You did more than okay. Mal, that was. That was everything. I meant it. Every word. I know, and I'm so proud of you. That night, the whole family, Isaiah, Malik, Ava, and Lauren, sat around the table for dinner. It wasn't fancy, just spaghetti and garlic bread, but it felt right. Ava chattered about her day. Malik actually smiled. Lauren caught Isaiah's eye and squeezed his hand under the table. This was family. Not the one Isaiah had planned, not the one he'd lost, but family nonetheless. Later, after the kids were in bed, Isaiah updated all 3 win sheets. Malik's, told everyone how I really feel about Dad. Ava's, family dinner with everyone I love. And Isaiah's, finally starting to believe I'm enough. He stood in the quiet kitchen, looking at those simple words, and felt something he hadn't felt in months. Peace. Not because everything was fixed, not because all the pain had disappeared, but because he'd learned that healing wasn't about erasing the hurt. It was about building something new alongside it, something stronger, something real. He thought about Douglas's words, about heroism feeling like barely surviving. Isaiah had survived. More than that, he'd shown up, for his kids, for himself, for the chance at connection when it would have been easier to stay closed. And maybe that was the real victory. Not perfection, not wholeness, just the courage to keep choosing love. One day at a time. One small win at a time. Until slowly, quietly, those wins added up to a life worth living. A life built on honesty and presence, and the revolutionary act of showing up broken and loving anyway. Isaiah walked to his bedroom and looked out the window at the neighborhood. This small duplex that had felt like defeat a few months ago now felt like home. Because home wasn't about the building, it was about who you became inside it, and Isaiah was becoming someone he could be proud of. Not perfect, not fearless, but present, honest, real. That was enough. That was everything. He went to bed that night thinking about tomorrow, about breakfast with his kids, about coffee with Lauren, about all the small, ordinary moments that made up a life. And for the first time since Renee left, he looked forward to it. Not because it would be easy, but because it would be his. Messy and broken and beautiful and real, exactly as it should be. The end.